can we recover the lost glory?
For someone, my name is Bernard Mujasi, the district chair of Mbale. For someone to understand Mbale, one has to go a bit in history. I was fortunate that I grew up in Mbale. I went to school in Mbale. So all the phases through which Mbale has passed, I was there. And when we had independence, I was also there. And we were amongst the youth who were dancing. But Mbale, yes, Mbale previously used to be very clean and very nice to walk around. But by then, one would know, one has to take into account that the population of people who were staying in Mbale was less than 20,000. And these people who were staying in Mbale were actually about 90%, they were Asians. They were Indians. These are Indians, and they made Mbale as one of their main settlement area. I remember in those days, on Sundays, all these Indians would move out of their homes and just walk around the streets. And every Sunday, you would actually think you are in Bombay, because there were only Asians around. Now, the Asians have a different culture. They have a culture of staying indoors, and where they stay, they normally keep it clean. And their children and their wives and what have you, they don't move around the way we Africans move around. So that made the basis for Mbale being very, very clean, because they had a very good culture of staying indoors and really not capable of generating dirt everywhere the way we have. They didn't have goats, they didn't have cows, they were not growing bananas, they were not growing all types of vegetables we see nowadays in town. And that made this town to be very clean. We were young men, but we used to enjoy this town. In various areas, many areas, we had open areas where they were more or less like open parks, where you would go and sit, and they would play our kifunda or football there, do all sorts of things. And then these areas, they had put there even swings where children could get the swing. So, and by the way, you have to note that the mayor was an Asian. Even the MP was an Asian. So you can see the depth of colonization which the Indians had in Mbale. But of course, that story changed when Amin took over power. When Amin took over power, and after 1 year, in 1972, he chased away the Asians. All of them. Very few survived. And then what happened to those shops which were left behind? They were given to the soldiers, to people from rural areas, to ordinary pharaohs. Now, this soldier, I can assure you, some of them immediately brought goats in town. Even goats would stay on Gorofa, would stay upstairs. Can you imagine a goat staying upstairs? And then, of course, with an African, he came with his bananas, his sweet potatoes, peeling and what have you. And those became the basis for dirtying this town. There were cases, and these were actually real cases, where someone who was peeling bananas on a second floor of a building would come out and throw the bananas down the way we do in the villages. You know, after peeling and you have all these peels, you just throw them out. That's where they are landing there. So that's why Mbale, the man who came from the village, the man who came from the rural area, after Amin, he came with the rural area in his head. He didn't know that he was going to town. He came with his mannerism, everything. And from that time up to now, we have never managed to change that. The people in town were less than 20,000. The day population in Mbale is about 250,000. Now, those are very many people. They didn't have many markets like the way we have now. Big markets. And they did, at that time, there were no watembei, the street vendors. They were not there. And strictly, there were no chicken, there were no cows. You could not grow bananas in a town. They were enforcing the law as it is in the books. So, when the Africans took over, they just forgot about the law. And they thought they had reached also in a town. But in their head, they had raw thinking. So, pouring rubbish next to your house is what they were doing at home, and right now they are now doing it here. And that's why you'll find that a person who is eating a banana, he will really remove the peels properly, eat a banana, and he will not notice where he's throwing the peel. Now, that is very unfortunate. To be honest, it will take quite some time before an African with his population, increased population, can beautify a place where he is. One would think that this will only come about when we have achieved possibly the middle income status, when most of the people are rich, they have money, and therefore they can look around their surroundings and they want to live a better life. So it will take some time. For now, people can talk and memorize about the beautiful Mbale, but I'm afraid it won't be there for quite some time now. You see, these buildings belong to people, owners. And most of these people don't have the capacity to put up new buildings. You'll find that apart from forcing them, they don't even have capacity to paint them. They are just forced to paint. The reason for this is that the economic development in the east and the north has been slow. So the old towns, which had people owning all the buildings, you will find that they have not joined the economic uptrend. And therefore, most of those buildings will remain there for quite some time. The Mbarara is a different phenomenon. It's a slightly more recent town. And the people of the West have been lucky in a way that they are in government, and as you can see, most of the tappings of the government are more in the West, more West and the Central than really Eastern and the Northern. So there are more rich people in Mbarara than in Mbale. And unfortunately, some of the rich people in Mbale prefer to go and invest in Kampala. So when you go to Kireka and all those areas, you'll find so many Vamasava there, putting up good buildings there, but they are not this way. I think that is the pull of the capital city. They try to do the cleaning. Every morning I see them doing the cleaning, but again, they don't have discipline. They clean the place and they don't take the trouble to clean all the rubbish from where they are doing. And at times they take long to clean those things. At times their truck is bogged down and you see some rubbish piling up. And generally around the market, the generation of rubbish is so much that you will still have the rubbish hanging around the main market. So I think it's a question of the municipal council employing possibly more people to try and control the rubbish. But unfortunately, you know, the municipal council, according to the government structure, is independent of the district. So whatever they do, we can only just give advice, but they are completely independent. So you will find that on the streets, they have employed all the people, all the ladies, all the what. Really, it's simply, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. Wealth creation, the government has put in place the restoration of the coffee sector. Mbale, one of the major cash crops in Mbale is coffee. And the government is putting in a lot of effort to make sure that the coffee sector is revamped. And it goes back to those earlier years of the 60s. Last year, we were given 1.9 million seedlings for coffee. This year, we might also be given same. So we want to put this coffee among us, the farmers, and then make sure that in the next 3 to 5 years, we actually can bring out a lot of coffee. As you know, we still have our cooperative union, the Mbale, the Bugis Cooperative Union. This is the only union which has survived over the years, and its basis is coffee. So the BCU has been revived, and we are sure that with time, when this coffee now comes back to more than what it used to be, we can see that riches will be back in Mbale.
Okay.
And hopefully we should be able now to attract more investors to come and put up factories in Mbale. It worries everybody. It worries everybody. But there's a basic reason for that. And unfortunately, when our president brought UPE, he said that education for primary will be completely free. Now, our people took that as a gospel truth. But then it has turned up that the government did not have enough money, capitation grant, to primary schools to enable them run properly. And therefore, there's a real big shortfall in running primary schools as far as the necessities are concerned. So, our friends in Western have not taken it literally that UPE is for children to study freely. They actually pay fees in Western. They pay fees in Uganda. Unfortunately for us in Eastern, people are still adamant, saying that no, the children, Museveni says they should not pay fees, so let them go to school. The parents don't make a contribution towards helping the schools to teach properly, helping the schools to have scholastic materials, to have ability to do tests on weekly or monthly basis. Now, as a result of this, over the time, the standards in Eastern and the Northern have been going down. We have struggled with our parents to try to show to them that yes, the president has said universal primary education, But the money which the government is releasing is not enough to cover all the expenses. And therefore, our parents should come out and contribute. Where they are contributing, schools are performing well. Where they are not contributing, schools are not performing well. And most of the schools don't even get one person in first grade. And that's really bad. And because the catchment area is poor in UP PLOE results, the secondary schools in this region capture those children and they take them to secondary. And by the time they reach O level, again they are still doing poorly. That's why our school, Nabomali, it used to be the best. It used to take up to 40, 50 children at a go to the university, to Makerere University. Now that is the thing of the past. They are no longer doing that. Even this year, I never saw them in amongst the best schools in Mbale district. It was a shock. But that's why we are not performing well. We shall continue pushing until the parents understand that they must make a contribution. And then the children will study properly.
Others for now it's history.
Pardon?
Others for now it's history.
No, otherwise for now, the mindset is still very difficult. The mindset of Masaba vis-a-vis his child is not good.
Okay.
They don't get it.
Okay.
But I think as time goes on, the economy will force them. Because they will find that most of their children will end up as shamba boys, as ayas, as karirungu, while others take the best jobs. And that has already started happening. So if we are not careful, we shall find ourselves running behind schedule as our other friends start developing fast.